Kathy from Bishopstone Yarns, and I'd like to welcome you all here to this episode. I think we're episode 36 of the Bishopstone Yarns. This is a sit and spin episode. As you can probably tell, I've got my spinning wheel here with me to do a bit of spinning. And for those people who are new viewers, welcome. I do a crafting podcast, and usually one podcast I do mainly about my knitting and my spinning, knitting and sewing and cross stitch and other kind of crafts. And then the other podcast, like the second podcast, this one, I will do about my spinning and fibre related things. So as I was saying, today is a spinning podcast. And I'd like to welcome everyone here for the beginning of 2023. And for those who are new here, you can find me on Instagram as Bishopstone Yarns. You can find me on Ravelry as Bishopstone. You can find me on Facebook as Bishopstone Yarns. And usually I say I'm coming to you from the corner of my studio, but I am not in the corner of my studio. I'm just in the corner of my little area here because it's a little bit easier to try and film my spinning from here. And I'm coming to you from Tasmania, which is the little island to the south of Australia. And I hope you enjoy the video, and if you like it, give it the thumbs up. And if you haven't subscribed, it'd be great if you could subscribe. So that's about it, really. We'll see how we go without any background noise. My neighbour's just doing a bit of work outside, so hopefully I won't have to pause too often for that. But yes, so starting off with 2023, what can I say? Well, the first thing I guess I could say is for Christmas, I got this book, which is Yarn Architecture by Jillian Moreno. And I have looked at this book over the years. I've taken it out of the library. I've even taken it out of our guild library. And I've finally decided that I really, really wanted a copy for myself. So I thought I could use kind of part of this, not just so much as a guide for my spinning this year, but to give me kind of a few ideas, a few different things to try out this year. And because I kind of thought I've really got to get into a bit of a groove with my spinning in terms of getting through my kind of fibre stash. I have made a 9-along for my knitting of 9 things I'd like to try and get done. Well, more than 9 things, but 9 knitting things, 9 cross-stitch things that I'd like to get through this year. So I think I should apply that as well to my spinning. So I thought that that would be a good way to get through some of the stuff, especially some of the stuff that's been sitting in my fibre stash for quite a long time. And so one of those things that I have been doing, well, I started at the end of last year, was I was telling people that I had bought some wool rovings in a D-stash just locally, which doesn't really come up very often because where we live, we don't have a huge population, so there doesn't things like wool roving and things like that don't usually come up very often on a D-stash. So I bought some grey, and so I have spun up the dark grey. Hopefully I'll put in some video later on of the skein and me washing it, and hopefully if it has dried, it's out hanging on the line at the moment, drying. I'll put in some photos of the finished skein as well. So I still have, in the D-stash, there was the dark grey, and this one is much more of a, sorry for all the, I can't really seem to get it anywhere where there. It's a little bit better without the sun shining on it. So this is much more of a silvery grey. So I thought I might try and spin this one up first. But I thought I would just go through and explain to you what I do. So I've been keeping this in a sealed plastic bag. When I first bought this, because it came from a D-stash, the first thing I did was I put it in a plastic bag, put it into the freezer, and I froze it in there for about 4 or 5 days, and then I took it out, let it thaw, and then I put it back in to the freezer again and let it freeze again, just to make sure if there was anything in here, like, you know, any bugs or moths or anything like that, they would be well and truly dead by that time. Look, I didn't see anything. I haven't found anything. So, but sometimes I think it's better to be safe than sorry. Now, this is like, has come about this width, so it's more like a pencil roving. And I couldn't really tell you what kind of wool it is. It is quite soft, but it's not merino. There may be some merino in it, but it also has the feeling of some, not, I wouldn't say coarser, but more hardier kind of wool in here as well. So this is a kind of a mixture of a light grey, and there's some dark grey. I guess it might be a bit hard. I'll see if I can show you. Come up and show you. But there is light and there is some dark colours in there as well. So this is basically how it turned up to me. What I'm going to do is kind of unwrap it, and I might just drop it on the ground and just check it and make sure that everything is looking okay. And find one end. Gosh, it's all going here today. Now there's a helicopter coming overhead, and so by going through this and just unwinding it, it's not very neatly wound. Don't know if you can hear the helicopter or not, but it's heading off down somewhere. So if I just unwind this, just bear with me for a minute. And just make sure that it all looks okay. And oh, there we go. So there's the other end. What I'm going to do is just roughly, divide this in half, and I'll do this with all my lengths of roving. And then what I can do is I can roll one half of this up and put away for my second bobbin. I could, of course, weigh it as well and just divide it by weight, but I find this quite easy to do. It just makes it a little bit easier, so then I can have a better gauge of making sure that I have relatively the same amount on two bobbins to ply together, because there's nothing worse than when you get to plying up two singles and you're left with a large amount on one end or one bobbin and not on the other. Oop, I've just broken that. Okay, so I've got one lot here which will be going for one bobbin, and then I have this lot here. What I might do is I'll just put that one there. I will start with this one, and what I will do is, so now I've got this, I will just gently tease this out, just put a bit of air in it, just using my fingers just to kind of open it up a little bit. and spread out the fibres, which will make it a lot easier to spin up. But also, since it's been sitting, I don't know how long it had been this other person's stash for, don't know what kind of conditions it was kept in, and so you just want to make sure as well that there aren't any kind of like felted bits, or even if you've had it in your own stash for a while, sometimes if we have it in a tub or something where there's a lot of weight on top of it, or it's been tightly packed into a container, then sometimes you might find that it's started to kind of compact a bit, and it needs a nice little bit of air added to it to make it easier to draft out when you're spinning. And I find this quite nice and relaxing. I quite enjoy kind of floofing out my bit of roving and seeing the beautiful, how lovely it looks. I think fibre, that's the wonderful thing about fibre, is it just, it looks so lovely and magical. And the way that we can then just end up spinning it into a nice yarn. Right, so I've still got my bobbin at the moment, my treadling set up for how I had spun up the dark grey roving that I've just finished, and I think I will just leave it at that. I'm sorry about the knocking of my wheel. Whoops. I'll just rethread. And the knocking, I was going to have a look at that before I started this this spin with you, but I thought, since I've already got this set up for the tension that I wanted, I didn't really want to take my wheel apart. Just have to ease the I have a big knot in the end of my leader here, where I've tied lots and lots of yarns onto it. I really should just cut it off, because it makes it a little bit tricky sometimes to get it back through the little orifice here. The other thing I'm going to have to do soon with my wheel is I have to replace this hook, because it is wearing very, very thin, where my yarn always seems to sit at the same place on the hook, and it's almost worn its way through all the metal there. So now we can just start doing a little bit of the spinning, and sometimes that knocking is not as loud as it is at the moment. I'm not quite sure why. Maybe because I've just moved it from my craft room to out here. It's very, very clean, this roving, but I have found a few little bits and pieces in it. So it's always good as well when you kind of add a little bit of air into your roving. It's easier to find any little bits of vegetable matter or anything else that might have been picked up, and then just pick it out. Now I just have to join this, so I just join fluffy end to fluffy end, and away we go. Well, I hope everybody has had a really, really good Christmas and a really good start to the new year. And I hope that for those of you who are working, you've had a chance to have a bit of a break or a holiday, recharge your batteries, whether you're in the Northern Hemisphere in all the cold weather. I know a lot of places seem to be in the US, I know that it's been very cold. In the UK, it's been very cold a lot of snow up north in the UK and a lot of rain as well in some places. And then even here in Australia, there's been a lot of rain on the mainland. We haven't, well, the north of Tasmania's had a bit of rain, but down here where I am in the south of Tasmania, we haven't had the rain like anywhere else. And our summer was a little late coming. It is here now, but the temperature is changing from day to day. One day might be 29 or 30 degrees and lovely to go down to the beach, and then the next day we could be 18 or 19 degrees. So it's, yeah, I don't know, the weather is very changeable down here at the moment. And luckily the other day we did get some rain, so we were able to, that was good for our garden, but also because we're on tank water here, it's always good when it rains so that we get to fill up our tanks. And also means that I've got a bit of extra water, because when it's lovely warm weather, it's the best time to be trying to wash fleece or wash my yarns and dry them. But then of course I need to have the spare water to be able to to go ahead and wash and rinse my fleeces. Luckily these the grey skeins that I've got hanging up on the line at the moment, at least they were very clean, so there wasn't a lot of rinsing out with those. I had also just finished another skein, well, not finished, I had just washed another skein, which I had finished last year, during the year, sometime last year, from one of my raw fleeces, and it had just been sitting on the niddy noddy for a long time. I don't know why I hadn't taken it off the niddy noddy, why it had been sitting there for so long. I think all I can think is I got waylaid doing other things, knitting and other crafts and things like that. So with this wheel I need to manually move my yarn down further. On my electric spinner it just automatically readjusts where the yarn goes onto the bobbin. What was I talking about? Oh yes, so the skein that I had on my niddy noddy had been there for such a long time, and because it was coming from raw fleece, it did need a little bit more rinsing. Or I should probably say it was more than rinsing, it needed a good wash. So that's also out on the line, waiting to dry. Hopefully, because the weather's quite nice and warm today, hopefully my skeins will dry today, and then I can get some footage of that to show you and put in at the end of this video. I'd love to hear what everyone else is up to. I know one of the viewers was saying that she has spun up some lovely fin, and she has a jumper in mind to make from that, and I think she was talking also about a cardigan as well, maybe from her fin wool that she spun up. And one of the things I am also thinking about trying to get through this year as well, I still have some I was going to say exotic fibres, but they're not really, I don't know if you call them exotic or not. They're not wool. So I'll just call everything that's not wool or alpaca exotic. So I still have some cotton fibre left that I would like to spin up this year. I've got some silks as well that would be really great that I need to spin up as well. The silks, I was thinking I might have a go at kind of blending those together and make some bats from those with some of my commercial merino tops as well. And what else have I got? I'm not even quite sure what I've got in my bag. in the past, I have spent a lot of time spinning all sorts of unusual things. I have spun dog hair, and I've spun ox and camel, and what else have I done? I have spun up paper. I've spun up newspaper. I've spun up fish and chip wrapping paper. I have spun up washi paper, Japanese washi paper, and I think it's called washi paper. And some of those paper, and toilet paper. I have spun up toilet paper, mind you. It was brand new, straight off the roll. And some of those I have exhibited in the past. And I'm kind of thinking I wouldn't mind getting back around to doing a little bit more of playing around with my spinning as well, and maybe take you on the journey with me. Be fun to have a go at spinning some other things just for the fun of it, just because I like spinning. And it's always fun when we can experiment and try some new things. And I feel like I really kind of miss having a go at making some art-based yarns, or yarns that I've then used in to make pieces to exhibit in, and I would also, I haven't spun any art yarns for a while, so that would be another thing as well that I'm kind of hoping to do in 2023. And it would be kind of fun if there's anyone out there who wants to join along with me, if we did that together. So I think what I could do is I could kind of tell you a month ahead of time what I'm planning to do for the next sit and spin, and then for those people who are interested or would like to come and spin along with me, we could do that. We could try a few different fibres. If anyone has anything in mind that they'd like to have a try that I might have, then I'm more than welcome to sit down and have a bit of a spin with you, using whatever you're interested in. I think I would probably say that I'm not going to, well, I should never say I'm not going to, because as soon as you say you're not going to do something, it usually you end up doing it again. I would prefer not to spin dog hair again. I had spun that on commission for a few different people who it was from their own dogs or dogs that had passed away. And so I spun up for them on commission. It's not difficult to spin, but I just don't like it. It usually has a lot of, I don't know, I guess it's the smell and the dusty, or I don't know if it's the dust, or I just find it a little bit, I don't even know what the word is. It's not as pleasant as, say, spinning some wool or something. I find it, maybe, I don't think I've got an allergy to dogs at all. I've always, we've always had dogs, but I do find that by spinning up dog hair, I don't know, maybe it just kind of gets up my nose a little bit. Maybe that's the way of putting it. And yeah, I mean, I guess if someone was really wanted to have a small amount of dog hair spun up again, I would probably do it on commission again. But yeah, it's not something that I would go out to choose to spin up again by myself. And I definitely wouldn't be spinning up any of my dog's hair at all. I had people had suggested it to me when we used to have a Labradoodle, and he had beautiful chocolate long locks, and but then I thought, what would I do with them? I mean, like, I didn't really want to make anything out of it, so yeah. yeah, not something that I'll be doing. So I will move on from that thought. But yes, apart from that, I'm quite open to going through my stash and working out what I've got there, and then we can just that'll be my 2023 goal is, well, I think my very first goal for 2023, if we're kind of sticking with a bit of a 9 along type thing, would be to try and find a place for my fleeces, my raw fleeces that are sitting in my craft room in my studio, because they're taking up a lot of room and I have to keep walking around them. So I probably need to move those to somewhere a bit more practical out of that room and where I can still see them so I don't forget about them, and so that I kind of hopefully am inspired to get through them and use them, more than at the moment where they're just sitting there kind of in the way. I did get through one whole fleece last year, well, most of the fleece last year, during the Tour de France in July. This year, I don't know that I'm not sure. I'm thinking I probably don't want to do another fleece, but even though it does make me spin it, it does make me get through it, which is good because it's a large amount of spinning every day, and it does force me to get through a fleece. Anyway, I've got a few more months before I think about that, whether I'm going to do a fleece again for the tour. And I'm really looking forward to making some of those bats, and using up some of my silk. I think I still have some Angelina in my fibre stash as well, which I haven't used for a long time. And also I'd like to do some dyeing. So I think I'd like to get back and do a little bit more dyeing again this year. I think that'll keep me going for the whole year. And it would be great if you'd like to join me on the spinning journey this year. And I think that's probably all that I'll be doing this year in terms of spinning. So this is spinning up really nicely. Just looking at with my eye, it does look like it's very similar, spinning up very similar to the dark grey that I had. So that's good, because I am kind of hoping once this is spun up that I might have enough yarn that I could use both of them in the same project. I'm kind of thinking of maybe a cardigan or something like that, but we'll see how much I end up with in the end, because the dark grey I only end up with one large skein and a very small skein, so I haven't even weighed it yet to see how much it is, but it will be interesting. Well, I might stop talking now. Thank you very much for joining me, and I'll just pop a few videos in at the end for you to have a look at, and enjoy your spinning. And I will see you all next time. Well, I'm back again at the end of the day. I've finished my spinning for the day, and here are the 3 skeins that I had washed today that I said I would show you. So here is the wool that was from the raw fleece, which I had spun up earlier and washed. So that's come out really nicely. And these are the 2 grey skeins, which were in the D-stash. Now, I'll just sit back down and show you. So these skeins are very, very light. They're really light. And so I just thinking about what they actually might consist of. They are very, as I was saying, they're very fluffy. They've got quite a nice halo on them. They have some short fibres in there. And I am actually even wondering if they might be alpaca or have some sort of alpaca in them, just because of the way they feel, because they're so light. And they're absolutely gorgeous. And this was the result of all of the dark grey that I had spun up. Camera's not really showing it off very well. I have just finished spinning, well, you probably can't see here if I turn my wheel around. So I finished, that is half of the light grey, and I've separated it so the other half will probably be about the same. So I'm thinking I'll probably end up with around about the same amount in the light grey as well. And while I've been spinning, I've been wearing this apron, and a lot of the fibres were getting onto the apron. And the more I looked at the fibres, there's 2 distinct fibres in the light grey. There's a very, very light, soft, kind of downy fibre, and then there's the darker hairs, which also leads me to think it could be something like alpaca that's in there. You probably can't see that, but that's just a little bit of the fluff that's come off. But I'm really, really happy with how this has turned out. It's a bit hard to show you, but there is such a lovely drape, and I think it would make a really, really nice drapey type of cardigan. Hopefully I'll have enough of the 2 colours to be able to do that, but I just thought I'd show you. So very happy with this spin. Is my camera going to focus for you? There you go. Some lovely steely grey. Okay, well, there you go. That's the end of the spinning for today. I think I'm going to go and have a sit down now.